Introduce Bill Brown, who I should have introduced earlier. Bill is in our creative services department at KOBI, and he's a superstar. So please welcome Bill. So I hear comments all the time about we don't keep people very long. We get a lot of turnover on air. Well, let me tell you what was going on when he went to work at KOBI TV. Barack Obama visited Afghanistan by surprise. Kim Kardashian and Kanye West got married. The number one show on TV was Big Bang Theory, and Tim George was the Medford chief of police. So, needless to say, we're happy that Matt has been with us this long. He's an exceptional human being. He's been with us almost 12 years. And Sally and I were actually present at his first good date with his wife, Lexi, who we adore. Matt has a degree in journalism from the University of Oregon and a degree in meteorology from Mississippi State University. But most importantly, this is a very good man. So please welcome Matt Jordan.
Yes, I can credit Bob for saving my relationship. We were 2 dates in at that point. They had not gone well. My wife is from Arizona. She came here in July of 2016. We met a few weeks later. I moved fast. And, well, she said that one of her favorite hobbies is hiking. Well, hiking in Tempe, Arizona is a whole lot different than hiking in Oregon, especially during the summer. So her quote of the day as we were going up the Table Rocks, which is completely barren at this point in August, was, "I didn't leave Arizona to go hiking in Arizona." Later that week, Bob says, "Hey, I got 2 tickets to the Oregon Wine Experience. Would you like to go?" I thought, well, let me text somebody and see what happens. And now we are married. We have 2 children, and it is spectacular. Thank you, Bob. All part of his plan to keep me here forever. Yes, and it worked. So this is year 12 in May, and it has been quite the experience. Let's bring up my little PowerPoint. I've got kind of a breakdown of everything that's going on for my life and everything else. That's why I'm here to talk about weather, of course. But let's start with me a little bit and the word meteorologist. I also do classroom presentations, by the way, so you might get a little hint of that. Unfortunately, due to time, I am not able to do my explosive experiment that I usually do for the kids. I could still try. We'll see how this goes. I know you guys are going to have questions, though, and I really want to save time for that. But if you want to see a little science experiment, we might hang out afterwards. I got a little time before the show. But meteorology, pretty simple. Study of meteors, right? No, not actually. Meteor stands for meteoros, which means high in the sky. Ology, like all of the other ologies, is the study of something. So meteorology is the study of things high up in the sky. Thing about things high up in the skies, they don't always stay high up in the sky. Eventually falling down is precipitation, hail, sleet, whatever it might be. And that's essentially an idea of what I study. Now, there's a lot more going on, and I'm going to talk about it a little bit. But my job, study the skies, predict the future. That's what I like to tell the kids as well. I like to predict the future. I ask them, how many of you can predict the future? And one little economist will raise their hand and no, you can't. And that's essentially how the kids' presentations go. But as you can see, that's me in the bottom right. One of the great things that we've been working on, especially lately, is getting more cameras out there. I have an office. It's probably used to be a closet at one point. There are no windows. So we like to get as many cameras as we can around the area. Siskiyou County, that's actually a fire camera, which is a pretty cool thing that they've been doing throughout the entire West Coast. There's a network of different fire cameras pointed all different directions they can spin around. Well, we have access to that as well. It's a public resource, and those cameras can focus on things like Mount Shasta, but also maybe an escaped burn, maybe a house fire, things like that. So that's one of the resources that we use beyond just the satellite, beyond just the radar. So I just press the button, right? I'm really good at that. That's literally what I'm holding in my hand is one of these, by the way. So if you guys are watching the weather later today, I try to hide it as much as possible. We got this goofy little remote, and they put bumpers around the remote because they expect us to drop it, and we do a lot. So watch for that. It's something we try to keep a little bit of a secret, but behind the scenes, we do have a little remote that we click to go from slide to slide. So this is me. My name's Matt. Hi, how are you? My history, born in Eugene, raised in Junction City, Oregon. If you've ever been there, it's got as many auto parts stores as stoplights, and that number is 3. I graduated from the University of Oregon journalism. Bob doesn't know this. I actually started in political science and pursued a minor in Arabic. That didn't work out, so I transferred over to journalism. It was a cool path. I got about 2 or 3 years of Arabic. Not understanding as much as I used to. Of course, it's kind of how languages in college go. But marhaban, everybody. I anchor reporter. My first real big boy job was as an anchor reporter in Alexandria, Louisiana. If you know where that is, when that's a surprise, right smack dab in the middle. So it's a little bit Cajun, it's a little bit country. The food's amazing, people are amazing. The weather was interesting. So I'm not doing weather at this point, 2013 to 2014, but we had tornadoes, we had the remnants of hurricanes, we had basically everything in between except for a locust plague. Everything happens in Louisiana. So that's where it started to kind of cue my interest a little bit on the weather side of things. Wrapped that job up and then came back to Oregon, hung out for a little while, and a position opened up at KOBI. So I started as just a day-to-day reporter, which is what I was doing in Louisiana. But Bob proposed, "Hey, how do you feel about weather?" I said, I don't know. I've done a few stories about the aftermaths of tornadoes and stuff like that." And Bob's like, "No, how do you feel about doing the weather?" I said, let's give it a shot. And here we are. So from that, because of the interest, because of being able to say something and actually see something happening, just a little bit of a hint. I brought my rain jacket, by the way. So see me carrying that around. It's still sunny outside. You know what's going on. Seeing things happen after I said they were going to happen really clicked with me. It was kind of cool being able to somewhat predict the future. Now, at that point, I was probably 50-50. Let's be honest, there's a lot that goes behind it. But building on that and then pursuing a degree in meteorology through Mississippi State University, seeing the math translate to things actually happening outside the window, outside, it clicked for me. I really, really enjoyed it. Time goes on, end up as the chief meteorologist for KOBI TV, NBC5. And here we are. So, chief meteorologist since 2020, an interesting year for weather. Other jobs, been a pizza chef, market of choice, by the way. Spinach, mushroom, gorgonzola, if you guys have ever had that, pretty good. Duck store, worked there at the University of Oregon, folding clothes. Eventually made my way to the laptops. Deli clerk, same thing, market of choice. First job, I was about 14, feeding animals at a farm, and then worked in the greenhouses, watering plants in the summer, which is the worst. Production assistant. That was a KZI, Eugene, Channel 9, and CNN intern. Actually spent a summer out in Washington, D.C. with John King, USA. Show lasted about a year. But that's when they introduced the magic board. You know, everybody's using it now for elections and stuff. That was the first iteration of that. That was 2010. So big news story then was the oil spill. It's a really interesting time to be in news then. So that was kind of a cool experience. Never been to Washington, D.C. before. Since then, weather, of course, and I like to explain this to people a little bit, the difference between weather and climate. You guys probably know, but how I describe it, essentially, weather is your mood, right? Your mood can change minute to minute, day to day. That's the weather. Outside, especially in Southern Oregon and Northern California, it's pretty moody. It can be all over the place. It was sunny to start, and I'm carrying around my rain jacket because things are about to change. And then as soon as they change, they unchange and then rechange. And then we get a little bit of everything. We got nearly 80s this weekend, and we're barely hitting the 50s today. What's going on? Well, it's the weather. Climate's a little different. Southern Oregon, Northern California, that's kind of your personality, by the way. Your mood, for example, grumpy, happy, whatever it is in between. Your personality, that's pretty more set in. Now, if your mood consistently trends one way or consistently trends another way, that can affect your personality. Climate. If you're not normally a grumpy person, you got a long streak of grumpy weather, grumpy personality, that'll change your climate. That explains to the kids pretty well what's going on. So I hope that helped out for you guys. But essentially, it's an averaging of weather conditions in a specific environment over decades. And I love Grants Pass for this because they ask me questions. Oh, why did we get hail? Why did we get this? I said, it's the climate. Climate's all over the place. It's your weather. It's all over the place. And it's going to be like that for a while. So Grants Pass, thank you. But essentially, that's one of the things we explained to everybody. There's a little difference there. And that's important for our area, especially because so much of what we do, especially agriculturally, is affected by not just the weather, but also the climate. So we like to talk about that. And the reason we talk about that is because people who watch us, especially KOBI, you understand we're local. We are purely local. This is a small operation compared to what we have elsewhere. That does not exist a lot on the West Coast or really even the East Coast. There's not a lot of us left. So I took that to heart. Essentially, I want you guys, as I'm looking at you here, instead of a camera like I typically do, that's why I'm out here, because I want to connect on a personal level, because local weather matters. Now, you can look at your app, of course, get an idea of what the weather is going to be like. You get an idea, right? My job isn't so much to tell you exactly what the weather is going to be like, because of course the weather can change very quickly and it depends area to area. Southern Oregon, Northern California, it's nuts here. Let's be honest. You take the most seasoned weather forecaster from Kansas and you pop them here, they're not going to have a clue what they're doing. Kansas, Topeka, same temperature as Lawrence. It's flat. It is anything but flat here. We've got some flat. The flat is on top of other things. Weather, geography, all of it is related. The ocean mixes things up for us. We've got a lot going on. So you get that with experience. You start to notice these kind of things that an app based out of a data center in Wisconsin isn't going to tell you. There's a reason why your Apple app, sorry, Apple, but yes, you're the worst one. The Apple app says it's going to snow on Sunday in Ashland. It's not going to snow on Sunday in Ashland. But Mount Ashland might be showing snow. This is just one example. It's not actually going to snow anywhere on Sunday, by the way. So your Easter Sunday looks gorgeous. I know you guys were waiting for that. Yeah, Easter Sunday looks great. But there's little pieces of data that can go crazy. The chaos theory, for example, is actually born out of meteorology. The idea that a butterfly can flap its wings in the Philippines and you have a cyclone on the other side of the Pacific. Essentially, that idea is born from weather meteorology. All these tiny little pieces of data. That's what that screen. Can I go back? No, went the wrong way. Can I go back to? Small one on the bottom that says back. I should have known that. It helps if you actually look at the numbers. All those are little data points. All those little data points tell us something different. Some of these are on top of schools. They're weather sites, by the way. Some of them are on buoys. See that 1001.2.6 on the far left there? Buoys out in the ocean. You're going to get all kinds of different information, all kinds of different lines, all of these different things going on. So our job is to translate all of that for you guys. I can give you a 44 degrees, but why is it 44 degrees when yesterday it was 77? That's my job here. And that's why it matters locally. My goal as a local meteorologist is not just to tell you, as I mentioned, what the weather is, but why. Because I'm up here now, I'm going to these classrooms, I'm going to other rotaries, I'm going all over the place. I'm on TV. My goal is to try to educate people why the weather is doing weather things. So that's kind of my goal. And that's the direction that I've taken a lot of my meteorology at KOBI is teaching people, because I also had to learn. I went into this not knowing that much about weather. I saw it doing things. I knew a few of the terms. I knew the different types of clouds. Some of the third graders know all the different types of clouds. And then I hit them with pyrocumulonimbus, and they're like, what? Well, it's the fire cloud. It's a cool one. But essentially, we live in a very, very unique area. Educating our viewers on how to appreciate that, but also anticipate what's going on out there is always very, very helpful. I get a lot of calls from pear farmers, for example, and they'll reach out to me asking, they already know that there's going to be frost. Let's say Friday morning, there actually be quite a bit of frost out there, pretty cold morning. But they want to know the specifics because they've done the research themselves, but they want a little bit more. They want to know a bit more information because of what I've said in the past. If the skies clear out a little bit, probably going to be colder. They're asking, are we going to have enough cloud cover? Are we going to have fog? That might keep things a little bit in the other direction. Maybe I won't need to put the smudge pots out there. So a lot of very particular things, because we live, again, in an interesting area, agriculture, but also a lot of hobby flyers, like a lot of pilots, a lot of nautical heading out to the ocean, a lot of information. We cover a very big areas. There's a lot going on. So moral of the story, I have a lot of fun doing. So let's have a little bit of fun with the cloud in a bottle. How are we doing on time? Can I do an experiment? I'm going to get you up here anyways, right? Can you grab that blue bag in that box, Bob? We're going to make a cloud. So weather always breaks down to this beautiful thing we call H2O. It's the thing that makes all of this work. Some of you are drinking it, obviously. And I like to tell the kids that the water you're drinking now is what the dinosaurs were spitting into the rivers millions and millions of years ago. Basically, water is the most important thing we've got on this planet. And that's the thing that makes weather work. That's what it really breaks down to. Still need you up here. Oh, easy. All right. I'll do it on my own. So we're going to make a cloud. That is heavy. Can by pulling that cork when I tell you to. So what we're doing here is we're forcing a bunch of air into a bottle. If you know how molecules work, atoms, when they get too close to each other, they create friction. Friction creates heat. We're not only heating something up, we're also cooling something down very quickly by releasing this cork, which is what Bob's going to do. We got a little bit of rubbing alcohol in here, probably just enough. You guys ever use hand sanitizer? I hope you do. You notice that your hands are a little colder after you use hand sanitizer. Hand sanitizer evaporates a little faster than water. Evaporation process, same reason we sweat, the evaporation process is a cooling process. That's why we sweat. That air evaporates and cools us down. So I'm going to heat this up, very tight molecules, very solid between them. And then we're going to release that molecule, that air, very quickly, cooling down very quickly. We're doing the whole water cycle. Precipitation, condensation, collection, and then the other one, evaporation. That's the first one. All right, you ready? Yes, yeah, probably a good idea. You want to pump this up, Lauren? Sure. It's a foot pump, but it works pretty well. All right. I got no squeaks. Keep going. Hearing? Whoa. Oh, that was a little sooner than I thought. I'll put my ear right there. All right, so we created a cloud. Yeah, there we go. I just didn't know if you guys had magic tricks or anything like that. So that's the best I got. I don't know how often that happens. So I just thought to mix it up. But yeah, we'll go back to the PowerPoint. Just a few things if you guys want to do it at home or anything like that. Doesn't take a lot. This is an old Shasta Cola and a cork from a whiskey bottle. Don't know where the whiskey came from. And then air pump, rubbing alcohol, and pop it after you got a little bit of an air pump in there. So that worked out pretty well. Right. My typical day, it's more than just being on air. I don't put the suit on until about 30 minutes before the show. Are we able to play the little GIF on the side there? GIF. Who pronounces it GIF? Good. No hands went up. That's all right. You guys can hang out. My typical day, oh, it'll play like that. Yeah. We got a lot going on. Most of my work, most of what I do happens well before I put on the tie, well before I put on the makeup, and it's just powder, so I'm not shiny. But essentially, we're looking at computer models, and there's a bunch out there. You guys may have heard of the GFS, for example, the NAM. There's all different ones, and they all use different types of math to figure out different types of things. So they have biases. The GFS for our area likes a lot of rain, and sometimes we'll really run with that, and then there's not a lot of rain. Whereas other models will say we're going to be completely dry. So the truth, and this is where the forecasting part of it, the truth almost always comes in the middle of what we're looking at here. So satellite data, models, the radar itself, the radio, not only what's out there, what's on the way, we can look about 7 days out and have a pretty good picture of what's going on. But the closer we are to that day, to that event, like today, for example, the better idea we have of something. You guys have ever seen that picture of somebody drawing a horse where it starts out really gorgeous and majestic and a little less and a little less, and by the end it's just a weird cartoon? That's essentially what weather forecasting looks like. The farther the data goes out, the more wild it is, the more chaos there is with all of these numbers as they continue to just repopulate and reassess. So a lot of work. Then we put on the tie, then we put on the suit. I do not have a script when I'm on air, kind of like what I'm doing right here. I ad-lib what's going on because I spend that much time in the computer, in the office, writing up what we think the weather is going to be like. And yes, we think the weather is going to be like. There's education behind that. There's information behind that, of course. But my job mostly is translating all those numbers, all that stuff in a way that you guys can package and go, oh, I should probably wear a coat today. So, all right, what else I got? Ooh, that moves too. Best parts of my job, this stuff. I love talking to you guys. I love the questions that hopefully we have time for. Classroom tours, visits, kids love it. Weather is just it's there. It's such a touchable thing because when you're outside, it affects your every single day. And I think that's really important for the kids when we're presenting these things, whatever it might be, for it to be tangible, for them to see these consequences, these reactions, to actually be able to see the thing they're talking about actually happening. And for the kids, I think that's really tangible for them as well. Learning, exploring, discovering new things about our atmosphere, about the weather. That right picture there, that's a fog bow. I didn't know fog could create a rainbow. That's exactly what it is. Fog is tiny water droplets. Rainbows are made by tiny, tiny water droplets. So make those droplets a little bigger, not as much light is refracted, and you end up with a gray rainbow. Also, a double rainbow, if you're ever looking at those, we had one yesterday over Roxanne, which was gorgeous. If you ever look at those, the second rainbow, the lighter one, is a reverse, by the way. It starts purple, then goes down to red. So just wild things. And then when you really get into the science of it, there were so many moments for me, and I hope for you guys as well, where you're like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. It's just a mirror image. It's a flip. Fog bow the same way. It's a rainbow. It's just the colors aren't as there. Connecting with community, you guys, this is such a great part. This is something that I really made a point of. Again, back to the education part of things, I really wanted people to learn something because early on I was learning as well. And I made the mistake of we'd hear these big terms in classes in Mississippi State, like orographic lift, and I wanted to use that on air and then not explain it. So people are like, oh, what's this guy talking about? So simplifying a little bit as you're learning is a big part of it as well for me. And then just people say they watch me. I know that's maybe a little selfish, but it's kind of cool hearing it from you guys, knowing that I've kind of got a little bit of an impact in your homes and your decisions that you're making is really, really cool for me. I really appreciate that you guys are still tuning in, still watching, still enjoying what we're doing. I've had a lot of fun in the last year or so promoting things like the Super Positive Video Contest. We had Super Bowl, we had Olympics. I just feel like my face is out there a little bit more. So I feel like I'm interacting with you guys more. I try to be out in public, love going to the growers market, for example. I love exploring things that are out there. We've got these big maps that we use for weather. I'll zoom in on Paisley and try to find those caves that everybody's talking about in the archaeology world. We live in a really, really cool, really, really unique area. I'm just happy that I get to share that with you guys and maybe tell you if you need to wear a coat or not. So if you want to watch me, that's me. That's us. That's NBC. Shout out to my coworker, Bobby Johnston, mornings, Kevin, who used to be at CBS, by the way, been hanging out with us, which we're really lucky to have him. He's been a great asset for our team as well. Natalie does weather on the weekends, so I want to give her a shout out. She's really interested in weather, kind of like I was, kind of seeing that spark of like, oh, that's really cool. I didn't know I could predict that. So I really appreciate the team that we have. I really appreciate you guys in the community. It's really been awesome. We're online as well. The app, by the way, just to plug this, Bob did not tell me to say this, by the way, but I use the app for our radar, actually seeing these storms and things coming in. I'll be holding in, I'll be watching it, I'll be zooming in, and my wife will be like, babe, just look out the window. It's right there. I'm like, no, but I need to know if it's this kind of storm. So just I'll open it up for questions, but thank you guys for having me today.